I hope you understand that. Some of you, I know that, you have different imaginations or ideas. The woman in the Bible that is the type for this wedding is Esther. Bible students knew that. And Esther, in the 2nd chapter, we read about the wedding ceremony of Esther. So this dream with the car, with the holding hands of the Lion King, with the bride, the queen, is signifying exactly or fulfilling this Esther wedding in chapter 2. So we should read Esther 2, perhaps to find more proof for our rapture date. Does this date of the 3rd of January have anything to do with the book of Esther and the feast of Purim or Esther's wedding? Chapter 2, verses 16 to 18 say, So Esther was taken unto King Ahasuerus into his house royal. Does this sound like a rapture? We, the bride of Christ, are taken into his house. I will take you where I am. Yeah? In the 10th month. This does not mean October, because the biblical calendar is different than our calendar. And it even makes it clear which is the month of October. No, Tebeth. It's not October. It's the month of Tebeth. That's the names of the biblical months that begin always with the moon sighting. Thomas knows that. So we have a certain month that this wedding biblically can take place. Yes, into which biblical month the 3rd of January falls. And the king loved Esther above all the women. Of course, he had more than one. But our king will have only one, but he has also in us many. And she obtained grace and favor in his sight more than all the virgins. And the virgins are the 144,000. So that he set the royal crown upon her head, the coronation in Orion, and made her queen instead of Vashti. And Vashti was his former queen. And Vashti fell in disgrace. Therefore, he needed a new one. And also we have a big church on the earth that fell into disgrace and was expelled from the palace. And that's the left behind. The Christians that will be left behind. That's Vashti. Then the king made a great feast. And that's the wedding feast that we expect to take place in heaven when we arrive. Unto all his princes and his servants, even Esther's feast. That's the wedding feast in the biblical type. And he made a release to the provinces and gave gifts according to the state of the king. This is our inheritance that we will get in heaven. All written there, how the order of things is. First the wedding, then the feast. The month of Tebet. So the month of Tebet is, first of all, the 10th month. And indeed, and surprisingly, our January 3 date 2026 falls directly into on the 13th day of the Jewish month Tebet. Surprise, surprise. Wedding month. Esther's wedding month. While the book of Esther does not specify the exact day in Tebet, which leaves a little bit room, another important event took place on Tebet 10, 3 days earlier, which would be the eve of pagan New Year 2026. That's the December 31st date. Noche Vieja. This event is recorded in a different prophet's book, Ezekiel 24. as the siege of Jerusalem by the Babylonian king. Jerusalem is a symbol for the believers, the Jews, the Israelites, the Christians. While Babylon is a symbol for the enemies of the people of God. And when Jerusalem is besieged by Babylon, which was Nebuchadnezzar at that time, the Babylonian king, this means a terrible decree goes out to kill the people in Jerusalem. The Bible reports that never flew so much blood than that time. And the temple was burned down to the grounds. A terrible defeat for the people of God. This is just 3 days before. Have you heard about the prophecy about the 3 days of darkness? Can you imagine why the dream says that we are in darkness at that time? Proof. Again in the 9th year, and we are in the 9th year since 2016. In the 10th month, in the 10th day of the month, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, write thee the name of the day. Write thee the name of the day. That's an important day. That's a day of trouble. Even of the same day, the king of Babylon set himself against Jerusalem this same day. Emphasized and emphasized and emphasized that this day has to do with something, typification of the end of times. So, when you rejoiced about knowing the date, don't rejoice about the time that leads us to this date. Because it will be the time that was prophesied in many parts of the Bible and also from the spirit of prophecy to be the time of the death decree. We will be in utter trouble at that time. And that this day of the besieging falls directly on New Year, Old Year, New Year change, has a significance. So a new year is normally the date for the enforcement of new laws. While I do not know and have still to observe what it exactly will be, it is like a death decree to us all. I watch the news and there are a lot of threats for the next year. Digital IDs worldwide. In Paraguay, we have already since long the possibility to register our cedulars as digital IDs. I hope nobody did that so far because it means total control over your person. The banks in Paraguay have also EU, US, I talk about Paraguay a little bit. And the banks in Paraguay have already connected our cedulars to the bank accounts. So the number of your digital ID is connected to the bank account. We have the aliases of the banks now, which means I can transfer to you just using your email address or your cellular number, because it's all digitally connected already. When somebody says you are not obeying the law that... What is the president at the moment, Linda? Peña. What Peña says, and it would be something against the law of God. For example, he would urge you never ever to go into a Sabbath-keeping church. Then, and you disobey, then your bank account, your money, everything will be closed down. Your cedula will be made invalid. You cannot buy and sell them anymore. But that's not all what will happen. We will have the introduction of digital central bank currencies in the next year. They say always, it's postponed, it's postponed, it's postponed. Not true. Everywhere we have already 59 countries in the earth that have already central bank digital currencies. Clandestinely, as you do not know it. Even St. Kitts and Nevis has it already. And Paraguay is talking about 2026 to enforce it. But what I think is the worst thing of all, that's the big brother watching you. Every single cell phone on the earth has now already ChatGPT or Grok or whatever. You have an X account, you have a YouTube account, whatever. And every single cell phone with the new Android and the new Apple iPhone, they have now integrated AI, artificial intelligence, integrated in the operating system. So even when you delete ChatGPT from your cell phone, you have ChatGPT integrated in the Android phone. And the laws that they want to enforce from 2026 on is called total chat control. Everything what you write on the cell phone, every email that you send or receive, every WhatsApp chat, every Telegram chat, every sentence in our own server will be controlled by your cell phone and sent to the secret services. The AI will flag your messages and say, this woman, this man is against the law of the land. They don't transgressed the law of the land. They are talking about a sect in Paraguay that is not of our support. These people have to be brought to jail. These people have to be fined. You cannot talk against chat control. You cannot talk against digital IDs. You cannot talk about the total control of your money. You cannot talk about that cash is disappearing in all the countries in the world because it's the last free money. You cannot talk against the total control of Bitcoin and other currencies, digital currencies, that is taking place in the laws of the lands right now. I did not write down what I heard because that was in the night after I had finished the slides, that the EU decided a total and absolute control of any digital Bitcoin transfer from 500 euros on. You have to bring AML papers, you have to register your hardware wallet. Your hardware wallet must be registered in a form that it can be blocked. Your hardware wallet. Every single modern hardware wallet has a so-called passphrase ID. Every single hardware wallet, through this key, you have to give this key to the bank so that they can control every single before liberal and not controlled transfer that you make. You cannot buy and sell anymore, not even with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other cryptocurrency. Total control. 1st of January 2026, we are the man of glass. Everything what we do will be controlled by the states, and the states are controlled by the US. And we will be disallowed to talk about such things. Our website will go offline shortly before the 1st of January 2026, because already now we are on the radar and they will forbid us to talk about such things. We will be switched off. Therefore, there is a time of grace that is ending, because the world will not be able to hear the true gospel anymore very soon. We are talking about a total enslavement of the world. Finally, that destroys even the last bastions like us that God still holds on this planet. The last bastion of Bitcoin, the last bastion of Paraguay, everything will be under total and absolute control. If you can have a mini impressor, if you can have this, if you can found a small group or whatever is controlled and sanctioned only by the state. Anything that smells will be eliminated, brought to jail, mouth dead, no talk anymore. Absolute and total control. And this is what Jesus meant when he said, no flesh would survive, because flesh, meat, is a symbol for spiritual teaching. The meat in the Bible is the food about which Jesus spoke when Satan tempted him in the wilderness and said, make of the stones bread. Is it God's? No? We live not only, we do not live from meat alone, but from every word that comes out of the mouth of God. And this mouth of God himself will be shut. No church in the world, no group in the world anymore preaching the true gospel. Not possible anymore. No meat, no pure doctrine would survive as food for the masses. To save us from this hour of temptation, the Lord takes us into his car. This is the reason why. This is the reason why. When the gospel the truth is forbidden to be preached, then the wrath of God will manifest. The purification. Another important witness is comet C 2025 A611. Now you will see something very interesting. That was discovered exactly 1 year before the rapture date on January 3, 2025. Exactly. On the very Gregorian date, exactly. 1 year. In the constellation of Gemini. Here. Forgot to put the comet there. But this is the comet. Here it was discovered on the 3rd of January 2025, this year. Very important comet, because you know that this comet is the winepress comet. Gemini, some of us know that, is also a couple in marriage. The Pollux twin holds the sickle, an instrument of power. He sits on an invisible throne, because the man in the marriage should be higher than the wife. But the wife should be loved, as if he would be himself. The wife is a little lower. The wife is kneeling. But they are united in marriage. Can you see that? Good. I put here the 3rd of January. So this was this year. This was the discovery of this comet there. And you know, many of you know where it goes. I'll show you. So let's look. The book of Esther also speaks about 1 year of preparation through purification. Exactly 1 year. Will be very interesting to see where this comet will be after a year, no? On the 3rd of January 2026. Let's read. Now, when every maid's turn was come to go into the king Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, a year, according to the manner of the women, for so were the days of their purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil and myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women. Then thus came every maiden unto the king, whatsoever she desired was given her, to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. After a year of purification, and have we been purified in that year? Have we went through a lot this year? I believe so. And this comet appears in the marriage constellation, but the wife still had to be purified.